Scorpio, listen closely. Not because you're fragile, because you're finally powerful enough to hear the truth without flinching. It's over. The war you've been fighting in silence, the one nobody applauded, the one that left you smiling while your insides were exhausted. It's done. And before your mind tries to argue with me, before it says I've heard that before or life always pulls me back, pause. Feel your body. Feel the difference between a hopeful story and an energetic fact. The version of you that could be trapped in that same cycle has already dissolved. You can't repeat what you no longer match. For a long time, your life felt like a loop with new costumes. Different faces, same lesson. Different settings, same emotional weight. You'd swear you were moving forward, and then, boom, there it was again. The same betrayal in a different accent, the same exhaustion wearing a nicer suit, the same prove-your-worth trap disguised as love, loyalty, work, family, destiny. You kept thinking the universe was punishing you. But Scorpio, Pluto doesn't punish, Pluto purifies. Pluto burns away what's false until only what's real can remain. And what's real in you, what has always been real, is the part that refuses to be owned by pain. You survived the kind of pain that doesn't just hurt. It rewires your nervous system. It teaches you to read rooms like a battlefield. It trains your eyes to scan for danger in smiles. It makes peace feel suspicious. It makes joy feel temporary. And still you kept going. Still you built a life on top of wounds that never got air. Still you carried people who couldn't carry themselves. Still you offered depth to those who only wanted access. Still you kept your dignity when everything inside you wanted to scream. That's not being dramatic. That's a spiritual discipline. That's endurance at the level of the soul. And now something has shifted. Quietly, permanently. Not because the world got kinder overnight, not because everyone suddenly understands you, but because you do. You finally see the pattern for what it is, and when Scorpio truly sees something, it cannot be unseen. The pattern wasn't just bad luck. It was a contract you didn't know you signed. The contract of over-giving, over-explaining, over-enduring, over-functioning, staying loyal to pain, because pain at least felt familiar. That contract is torn now, not in anger, in completion. If you were born from late October into early November, your ending is emotional exhaustion. The role of being the container for everyone else's chaos while you privately manage your own storms. If you were born in the middle of November, your ending is the need to prove your worth through suffering. Believing love must be earned through endurance, that respect must be purchased with silence. And if you were born in the later part of November, your ending is isolation. The belief that to be safe you must stand alone, that needing anyone is dangerous, that softness makes you a target. Different chapters, same root. And the root is dying. The idea that your power lives in how much you can survive. Your real power has always lived somewhere else. It lives in discernment, in boundaries, in the ability to feel deeply without losing yourself, in choosing truth over attachment, in walking away from what keeps asking you to shrink. Scorpio is not built for shallow waters. You're built for depth, for honesty that cuts clean, for intimacy that doesn't require self-betrayal. So when you finally learned, at the cellular level, that shrinking is more painful than leaving, the cycle ended. Because once you stop negotiating your own spirit, the universe stops sending you lessons that rely on you betraying yourself. That's why this ending feels different. It's not dramatic, it's not fireworks, it's a quiet exhale. It's you waking up one day and realizing the thing that used to hook you doesn't hook you anymore. The person who used to trigger your nervous system can't reach you the same way. The message that once would have ruined your whole day now lands like a pebble on armor, and you don't even feel proud. You just feel clear. That's the sign. Not excitement, not obsession. Clarity. But Scorpio, I need to say something tender and blunt at the same time. Peace will feel strange at first, because you've lived in survival mode for so long that your body learned chaos as a language. You'll catch yourself waiting for the other shoe to drop. You'll look around when things are calm and think, what am I missing? You'll interpret silence as danger. You'll mistake stable love for boredom. You'll confuse ease with a trap. That is not intuition. That is old conditioning. And the next phase of your evolution is learning how to live without bracing. Right now, your inner world is detoxing. Think of it like a storm finally draining out of the sky. Mars energy, your drive, your heat, your instinct to act, begins to soften into precision. Mercury energy, your mind, your stories, your rumination, begins to unwind. Pluto energy, your deep transformation, finishes a cycle and leaves behind something rare for a Scorpio, quiet inside the chest. And when quiet arrives, everything you stuffed down starts rising to the surface. Tears you delayed, anger you swallowed, grief you intellectualized, even laughter you forgot you deserved. This isn't you falling apart. This is you emptying the poison so you can finally be filled with something clean. Some of you will feel the release in the body. You'll crave sleep, nature, long showers, silence, slow music, warm light. Your shoulders may drop for the first time in years. You might feel exhaustion without a clear reason. Let it happen. That's the body completing what the mind refused to process because it had to keep functioning. Some of you will feel the release emotionally. You'll cry at odd moments. You'll write messages you never send. You'll finally admit the truth you kept editing. You'll feel sadness and then, strangely, relief, because grief is love with nowhere to go, and you're finally giving it a place. And some of you will feel the release spiritually. You'll detach from noise you used to chase. You'll lose interest in drama. You'll stop needing to prove you're okay. You'll sense a quiet guidance returning, like your intuition has been waiting in a dark room and someone finally opened a window. This is sacred, and it's private. Scorpio heals behind closed doors, not because you're cold, but because your evolution is delicate while it's forming. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your becoming. In fact, some people will misunderstand you the moment you stop bleeding where they can see it. They'll call you distant. They'll say you changed. They'll accuse you of being too much or too quiet. Let them. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. Your job now is to protect your peace the way you once protected your pain. Here's something that may surprise you. The universe will send small echoes of the old cycle, not to punish you, but to confirm that it's over. You might receive a message from someone who once drained you. You might walk into a situation that resembles an old wound. You might hear a familiar tone, the same manipulation disguised as concern, the same guilt dressed up as love. And this time you will pause, you will breathe, you will feel the old reaction rise and then fade, because the hook is gone. The lesson is complete. Mastery is not never feeling triggered. Mastery is feeling it and not obeying it. That's when you'll realize something breathtaking. You're not attached to proving anything anymore. You don't need closure from someone who never gave you clarity. You don't need apologies to validate what you survived. You don't need to explain your boundaries to people who benefit from you having none. The need to explain disappears when the healing is real. And Scorpio, you are stepping into the kind of healing that makes your no feel holy. Then comes the part that feels almost unreal. The arrival. Not the arrival of a perfect life, let's not do fantasy. The arrival of alignment, of experiences that match the healed version of you. Relationships that don't require you to abandon yourself to keep them. Opportunities that don't demand you betray your nervous system. Love that doesn't make you smaller. Work that doesn't feed off your depletion. Conversations that feel like home, not interrogation. When you stop chasing, life starts recognizing you. Not because you manifested hard enough, but because you finally became honest enough to stop accepting what hurts. Your energy becomes magnetic, but not in the exhausting way. Not everyone wants you magnetic. More like, what is meant for you finds you without violence. Doors open without drama. The right people show up with calm eyes and steady hands. You'll notice the difference immediately because your body will feel safe around them. No tension in the stomach. No need to perform. No urge to test them. No mental chess. Just a quiet sense of mutual respect. And yes, Scorpio, this includes love, but not the kind that burns you alive. The kind that lets you breathe. The kind that doesn't punish your sensitivity. The kind that doesn't treat your depth like a problem. Some of you will experience a soul-level connection that feels familiar, without feeling toxic. Others will repair a relationship, not by returning to the old dynamic, but by meeting each other as new people. And some of you will finally choose yourself so fully that love arrives as a consequence, not a goal, because healed Scorpio is not starving. Healed Scorpio is sovereign, and sovereignty is deeply attractive. You will also see changes in how you relate to success. The middle chapter of your life may have trained you to expect delays, rejections, closed doors, and almosts. But timing shifts when your frequency changes. You may notice projects moving, recognition finding you. Money energy stabilizing, not because you're chasing harder, but because you're making cleaner decisions. You're not bleeding finances to soothe emotions. You're not staying in environments that drain your focus. You're not making choices out of fear. And when Scorpio stops living in fear, Scorpio builds empires quietly. But here comes the final test, the one that nobody warns Scorpio about because it's not as cinematic as betrayal. Trusting joy, receiving without suspicion, letting good things stay, not scanning every blessing for the hidden price. This is where many powerful people stumble, not because they're weak, but because their nervous system got addicted to adrenaline. Chaos became familiar, peace felt empty, and the mind will try to recreate problems just to feel normal again. Scorpio, don't do that. Don't summon storms to prove you can survive them. You already proved it. The new flex is staying soft in safety. If love enters, don't interrogate it to death. Don't punish someone for someone else's betrayal. Let your standards be high, yes, but let your heart be present. If opportunity enters, don't talk yourself out of it with old scarcity stories. Don't assume it will vanish. Meet it with preparation and calm. If peace enters, don't label it boredom. Label it healing. Because drama is not passion, and anxiety is not connection. You're learning a new emotional language now. Stability, ease, honesty, consistent effort, mutual care. It may feel unfamiliar, but unfamiliar doesn't mean wrong. It just means you're not repeating the cycle. And you will be tempted. The old life will whisper like an ex at midnight. The familiar pain will try to seduce you with nostalgia. You may remember the intensity, the chemistry, the obsession, the we were special feeling. But Scorpio, intensity without safety is just a beautiful knife. It cuts deep and it always demands blood. Your new life is not built on knives, it's built on truth. You don't need to suffer to feel alive. You don't need to bleed to be loved. You don't need to be needed to be valuable. Those are old myths. You've outgrown them. You might even notice certain people getting uncomfortable with your peace. When you stop reacting, manipulators lose their tools. When you stop chasing, users lose their leverage. When you stop explaining, the guilty lose their cover. Some will try to pull you back with guilt, with flattery, with sudden vulnerability, with I miss you, with you changed, with why are you cold? But your peace is not cold. It's clean. It's what happens when you stop negotiating with dysfunction. And you don't owe anyone access to the healed you, especially those who only loved the version of you they could control. So what does "it's over" actually mean for Scorpio? It means the pattern ends in your body, not just in your mind. It means you stop confusing loyalty with self-abandonment. It means you stop calling pain destiny. It means you start choosing environments that honor your depth instead of punishing it. It means you learn to rest without feeling guilty. It means your silence becomes peaceful instead of heavy. It means your intuition stops screaming because it finally trusts you to listen. And now, Scorpio, the most important question isn't what's coming. The question is, who am I when I'm not surviving? That can feel terrifying because survival gave you identity. Survival made you sharp. Survival made you strong. Survival made you feel necessary. But you were not born to be a soldier forever. You were born to be a creator, a builder, a healer, a lover, a leader, a calm force that changes rooms without raising its voice. That is Scorpio at its highest frequency. Power with peace. So here is your assignment, simple and sacred. When the old cycle tries to reappear, don't fight it. Don't dramatize it, just recognize it. Name it. Release it. Breathe. When you feel yourself wanting to return to familiar pain, ask, is this love? Or is this an old wound begging to be replayed? When you feel peace and your mind tries to sabotage it, ask, what if I'm allowed to be happy now? When you receive something good and you want to search for the catch, whisper, maybe there isn't one. Maybe this is what healing looks like. And toward the end of this message, let me place a gentle truth in your hands like a warm stone. This narrative is a mirror, a possible timeline whispered into the universe for the souls who are meant to hear it. It is not a contract with fate, not a guarantee, not a substitute for real-world choices or professional support when you need it. It's simply a lantern in the dark. Take what lights you up, keep what strengthens your spirit, and let the rest drift away like mist at sunrise. Your life is still yours to steer, and your power has always been in your discernment. Now breathe, Scorpio. Not the shallow breath of someone still bracing. The deep breath of someone who finally believes the war is done. The cycle is over because you are over it. You graduated. You evolved. You became too honest to live a lie, too awake to repeat a nightmare, too powerful to be fed by the same old pain. And if your heart is quietly saying, yes, that's true, then honor it. Close the door without hate. Bless the lesson without returning to it. And step forward, not as the person who survived the storm, but as the person who learned how to live after it. Because, Scorpio, you were never meant to repeat this cycle, you were meant to end it.